engaging the SME space more deliberately will go a huge way in improving housing delivery. Without doubt, the planning process is well documented. It needs change. It's no coincidence that the new government came out right out the blocks with a statement on planning reform that was very much front and center of their agenda. And I think if SMEs are to really thrive, and housing development in general in this country, there really needs to be fundamental and lasting change in the planning process.
Small developers are able to be nimble and flexible and come up with different ideas. SME developers have traditionally delivered a huge percentage of the UK's homes. Back in the late 80s, it was about 40% of homes in the UK were delivered by SME developers, whereas in recent years it's been as low as 10%. So if we can get that number back up, that can get us from 300,000 a year to 370,000 a year really easily.
Planning is obviously something I experience every day. Backlogs to planning applications, underfunding of planning departments, and then ability to deliver projects where SMEs might have bought a site with planning because it's not been thoroughly thought about in the design and planning process. They're the biggest challenges. We've had a massive decline in SMEs delivering house building, and it's not just because of planning, it's access to funding, it's quality of workmanship, it's access to materials, sites which they're priced out of the market. So it's more than just planning.
There are loads of small sites in local authority areas that don't make it into local plans, that don't get brought forward for development and aren't treated with a priority by local authorities because they don't deliver huge chunks of their housing numbers. If local authorities were more proactive about small sites, that would go a long way to helping both SME developers and local authorities meet their housing targets.
There are so many constraints all across the sector that it's going to be very difficult for planning on its own to deal with those. But I think there are some good strong steps, and I think anything that resources up the planning system and helps to make it simpler will help to bring things forward. I think we tend to talk about units and houses and flats, not homes, and I think it is about making sure that we are always keeping in mind at every stage that people have to live in these places. And that's not just about how big they are, but it's also about where they are, what's near them, what services exist around them, and how they live and exist around the people that they serve.
There's a lot of land out there that's controlled by local authorities and quasi-government bodies that arguably isn't needed. And if that was released through this concept of portals where they could bid for it, and it was easier for them to bid for it, and it was easier for that land to be released to them, I think that would be beneficial.
The main takeaway from today is that there is so much opportunity out there to make a difference in terms of housing delivery, and it will take a collaborative approach, which means engagement at the granular level and lower ends of the market where the SME developers serve.